Welcome back. This is part 5 of my review for Fraser Valley Climate Action of Nat Bullard's 2025 State of Decarbonization. Um, so we left off here talking about how electricity needs to be reliable, and so the next slide is net negative load. California has net negative load in the spring, and you can see that down in this gray area where the load actually went negative. So presumably they have enough supply to cover everything people need and then some. So maybe they're able to sell to Nevada or whatever. I don't know what a 5 minute and 10 minute are. I assume that's resources that can be brought on within 5 minutes and within 10 minutes. Um, if that's the case, then yeah, you see those numbers going up. So that looks positive. I don't truly understand that. Time and differentials. 37% of US residential electricity tariffs are time of use or differential rate. So you pay more when electricity is more costly, that kind of thing. Good to know. 3 sectors, 3 patterns. So there's the pattern for wind. When is it windiest? Or no, that's not time of day or anything like that. That's it's quarter by quarter. There we go. Fourth quarter for these various years. Oh, and this is investment. Gotcha. So the investment peaked in 2020 for wind and it's been going down. Solar is go, go, go. And storage, I don't think it should be black, but there you go. Storage is doing quite well as well. You can see that pattern mimicking the solar, right? Bending the curve. Looks like maybe we don't have data in 2012. That's funny. Appreciate that. Official forecasts point to power load growth with the highest winter growth in decades. If we have more extreme temperatures, cold, because of the destabilization of the jet stream and more Arctic outflows, yeah, we're gonna have to heat. That makes sense. And maybe cool in the summer if we have heat waves. Yeah, so our energy needs might be growing related to climate change. That makes sense. 10-year electricity load, CAGR, acronyms do the death of me. Energy growth, higher peaks, lower lows. Texas power demand could increase 116% in 15 years, while net load could fall. Demand? How could demand increase while load falls? I may not get this one. So I won't claim to know what it is. Annual energy seems to be growing. That seems good. Annual load seems to be growing. Okay. Peaks. Good to know. Oh, yeah, I've heard about this. The queue for getting projects hooked up to the grid is huge, apparently. So if you have a field and you fill it with solar panels and you're all ready to go, you got your transformers there and everything to put it on the power line, you might wait years for them to actually connect it. So that's a problem. Um, in terms of capacity. And I think that isn't necessarily a problem that's unique to private industry or private grids. I think we have the same thing where it's government-owned grids as well. I don't think one is better than the other, although perhaps easier to coordinate one. But yeah, they both kinds are having this kind of a problem, right? And so look at all the things that are waiting to get connected, right? Batteries, solar, offshore wind, even gas at the bottom. US interconnection timelines have tripled in less than 2 decades. Well, it kind of makes sense if we're growing a lot of smaller projects in various locations as opposed to, one big massive project in one location. It makes sense there'd be more work to do those connections, but I mean, they should step up. There's money to be made, there's power to be delivered. Flexing capacity. The latest capacity auction has the highest rates and costs in a decade. I don't know what that means. The US built 3,200 miles of high voltage transmission in 2013 and almost the same amount from 2017 to 2024, basically 7 years. So in 7 years, they built what was built in 2013. So they're slowing down and building less transmission lines. I think we need more, not less. They're probably aging out too, right? These are 345 kilovolt and up transmission lines built in the United States. So you can see the spike there. Okay. Growing gas. US utilities are expected to shrink their gas fleet. Now they expect 10 gigawatts of additions. Okay. How is this shrinking? It doesn't make sense to me. That doesn't make sense to me. A peak without a peak. India's peak power demand is up 100 gigawatts in 10 years. Yeah, so that's a lot. Solar exports. Pakistan and Vietnam, they rhyme. Pakistan's solar imports rivaled Vietnam's peak pattern. I guess this is just, gigawatts of modules, not importing solar power, but importing solar modules so they can build out solar generation. That makes sense. Pakistan power peaks. Pakistan's August fossil fuel power generation fell 10% year on year as off-grid solar expands. I don't know. I would expect that fossil fuel generation would be mostly on-grid, so I don't know why that would fall, but maybe it's off-grid. I don't know. It's good that they're starting to do it in a less polluting way, technically and commercially improving. The aggregate technical and commercial electrical losses are half what they were in the 2000s. Well, that's really good. If you're going to generate power, you don't want to lose it. So, yeah, it sounds like efficiency is growing. We need that. That's good for everybody's bottom line. Still losing energy. Electrical T&D losses are stubborn. Transmission and distribution losses are stubbornly high, above 7%, and have been since the 1960s. Electrical power transmission and distribution loss of total output. This is from the IEA and World Bank. So roughly 7% down the middle there. Okay. Oh, seven's at the bottom. They're higher than 7. Okay. It's like 8.5. Coal power has volume and location problems. China has more than a terawatt of coal plants that are less than 30 years old, well within their economic life. The top 10 coal fleets are less than 30 years of age by country or block. Okay, so basically we just need China to do good things. that would cover a multitude of sins elsewhere, so to speak. Yeah, maybe it is a moral question. Gas power has youth and tech problems. 80% of the global gas fleet is less than 30 years old, so presumably can be maintained and kept in service. 95% of the combined cycle fleet, so I think those are more efficient, is less than 30 years old. Wow, look at that in the last 10 years. 615 gigawatts. That's like the amount of solar that gets installed in a year. Interesting. Okay, the auto complex. Got 7 minutes left. Up 24%. Electric vehicle sales increased by nearly a quarter year on year. Now, I want you to notice something. Sales are increasing every year. You've heard in the news that the sales are slowing down. It's the steepness of the curve that's changing. That's the slowdown. It's still going up. So it's important to understand the differences between speed and acceleration. When something is accelerating, it's going to go faster and faster and faster. And so the curve, or the angle of that curve, that's the acceleration from one year to the next, right? A change in speed or volume here versus there. So I just wanted to say something because I heard so much this last year about, electric vehicle sales are stalling out. It's like, they're not. What is happening is the growth of those sales, which is different than sales. Growth is also acceleration, negative or positive. The growth is slowing, but there's lots of reasons for that. Battery electric vehicles have twice the sales of plug-in hybrids. Yeah, absolutely. And user satisfaction is higher with battery electrics than with plug-in hybrids. I only know 2 people that I've met. One was an Uber driver who have owned a battery electric vehicle and then decided to get rid of it. Everybody else is like, no, love it, keeping it. No, it's fine. I know there's more people out there, but in my experience, I've only encountered 2 people who didn't like a BEV, a battery electric vehicle. So look at the sales. 12 million battery electric vehicles sold versus 6 million battery electric vehicles sold in 2024. Yeah. China makes 40% of the world's passenger cars. up from 3.5% in 2000. Yeah, so between 2000 and now, they've been building infrastructure. They've been building factories. They've been buying companies. They've been securing global supply chains. They've been investing in robotics. This isn't a sales pitch for China. This is what they've been doing. So companies like BYD, Build Your Dream, and others, there's dozens, are building decent cars that are perfectly good for most people. Um, and the quality is getting up there. 40% of passenger vehicles in the world are made in China. It's a phenomenal undertaking, and they're able to produce battery electric vehicles at a significantly lower price. Look what's happening in China. Plug-in vehicles are half of all passenger car sales in China. Look at that. They're meeting at 50%. They're converging, right? The number of internal combustion engines is dropping year after year after year after year after year, down from 100 where it was in 2018, right? Now they're at 50%. What do you think is going to happen in another 7 years? They might hit zero. It's possible. It might be impossible to buy an internal combustion engine vehicle new in China. We'll see what happens. I mean, they're building out electrical infrastructure like crazy in terms of their solar production and, well, the production of EVs. And good for them because, you know, they have that coal power problem. But burning coal to produce electricity is way less polluting than burning gasoline. Way less. Production and sales. China's automakers produced 31 million vehicles in 2024. 31 million. Okay. Domestic demand peaked in 2018. So now they have that capacity to build. You see that blue line is below the gray line now. So they have that capacity and now they're able to export. So that's why recently we've seen more exports. We've seen, China shipping ships worth of cars to other countries. The export leader, China exported 6 million vehicles total, 5.5 million cars, 2 million EVs. Good. China became the top exporter of autos by value to the European Union in 2024. And that's saying something because their prices have been competitive. But, more than Japan, more than US, more than South Korea, they're all in. China up, Japan down. Interesting. Right? That's growing. I don't see that as a threat. I see that as there's a company, there's a country manufacturing something that is cleaner, EVs, right? And we need that. We absolutely need that. I don't care if they're made in Japan. I don't care if they're made in Australia. I don't care if they're made in the United States. We need EVs. And that they're made in China, fantastic. Get them made. Look at American vehicles, how the interest in those has been dropping off. Buicks, surprisingly, a large portion there. Chevys, Cadillacs, luxury, right? Baozhong, Wuling, interesting. Peak diesel for Chinese truck makers. This is good, right? Because we have the sulfur problems, right? We have the issues with the diesel pollution and the particulate making people sick and affecting healthcare for the society, right? Look at those. Look at those. Trucks are coming down. Natural gas is replacing it. Electric is replacing it. Thank goodness. There's all kinds of problems with natural gas or methane, as people other than the salespeople would refer to it. Okay, let's keep making progress. I'm going to end part 5 here so this video doesn't get too long. Thanks for your time. Fraser Valley Climate Action. I'm Greg McCone, and we'll come back and we'll look at part 6 for Nat Bullard's slide deck here.